Virtual reality has finally come to the masses with the releases of the Oculus Rift and the HTC Vive. Now we're finally here to answer the question, is it worth it after all of these years of waiting? Well, let's find out with the big player in the race itself, the HTC Vive, kindly provided to us by Valve and HTC. As anyone who's been following VR knows, a pretty damn good computer is needed to run anything on a VR headset, namely, at least a GTX 970, an i5 4590, and 8GB of RAM. But it should come as no surprise that many VR applications need something a little higher than that to run smoothly. So in the PC that I'm using to run the Vive, I've got a 980 Ti VR edition from EVGA, an i5 4690K, and 16GB of DDR3 RAM. This should be able to run just about any VR game pretty smoothly as long as they're well optimized. And if you're not sure that your system can run a Vive, you can use the Steam VR Performance tool to find out for sure. So let's take a look at the design of the Vive. Aesthetically, I personally prefer it over the design of the Rift. It has this really cyberpunky Ghost in the Shell type look to it, with even more added to that with the long 3-part cable coming out of the back of it and the shorter one that you plug into your own pair of headphones. The long cable leads into this breakout box that plugs into the USB 2 and HDMI into your computer, and the power cable to wherever you want to plug it in. The two lenses are Fresnel lenses that help to eliminate some of the screen door effect that you get from having your eyes right up on the screens, but end up being kind of noticeable in a lot of games. The head strap is very comfortable, it's firm across most of it, and stretchy in the back, allowing for a bit of room when you're fitting it to your head. You do want to have it tight so that it's not flopping around when you're playing games, and so the Fresnel lenses aren't quite noticeable. The face foam comes with two sizes, one for wide faces and one for narrow faces, but they aren't drastically different, so you just need to find the one that accommodates your face best. What's really nice about it though is that it has slots on the sides that allow the user to wear their glasses with this on your face. I cannot describe how much that has helped me, because I end up getting really sick when I'm using it and I don't have my glasses on. The one problem I do have regarding glasses is that they seem to fog up pretty quickly in the Vive, but that could just because I get hot pretty easily. The controllers, of course, are very different than what's currently on the VR market, with Razer Hydras being out of stock for years, Leap Motion only using your hands, and Oculus using an Xbox controller until later this year. They've got a nice rubberized backing that allows for good grip, and two grip buttons that do the same thing so you can use them in either hand. The most obvious thing here is the touchpad, which is essentially the same as what the Steam controller uses, a concave round trackpad with fantastic tracking and optional haptic feedback that works as a button as well. The two buttons above and below the touchpad are the menu and home buttons that can be used to pause and bring up the Steam dashboard. The trigger on the back appears to be pressure sensitive, but I don't know of any VR games that use that function yet. And of course you'll notice the dots all around the top rings that are very similar to the ones on the headset. That's because these are used for tracking as well, and they pick up the infrared lights that the lighthouses will output across your play area. And I can attest to the controllers being very comfortable and durable, as there has been a few times that I forgot they were controllers and ended up accidentally throwing one, or I hit the ceiling with one. They still work flawlessly after that abuse, and the only problems are some scratches on the end. They come with wrist straps. Use them. But what really matters when it comes to VR is content. What are we supposed to play? I voiced that concern in my preview article. The Rift has had dev kits out for 3 years now, and the Vive has only been out for 1. Well, I'm happy to say that there is plenty available for the Vive. I currently have over 50 titles in my Steam library just for VR, and that's not even close to all of them. There may technically be more games available for the Rift overall, but a ton of them are small titles that were just made for game jams or just for fun. And the big ones that Oculus is heavily advertising mostly seem to be third-person games that don't really involve you being in the world and being immersed. You're just controlling a character and seeing things from different perspectives. In most of the Vive games that I've played, you become fully immersed with the motion control and room-scale tracking. You genuinely feel like you're in the game because the controls and type of tracking that HTC has put into this thing allow for games that make you the main character. You have full control and you can do what you want. Everything about it just feels right. Overall, I genuinely believe this is the way to go with VR right now. This headset is absolutely amazing. The biggest problem it has is the resolution, which doesn't particularly make things look bad, and it will be updated in later models. It's just that, for now, that's all we can really support with modern computers. And so that finally brings the question, was it worth the wait? Is it worth the money? And the answer is a massive yes. There isn't any way I can really describe to you how amazing VR is without having you try it for yourself. If you love VR and you love the concept of it, then absolutely go for it. For the time being, it's an enthusiast product. Pretty much everybody can agree with that with the price point. But the price will lower over time, it will become more common, and the market will flood with amazing titles that will just be readily available for everybody. So get excited. You're living in the future. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned to VG Tribune for more news and reviews.